There's some trick shots, some golf techniques, and a few other things that you'll all be happy to hear about. Let me first introduce a few people who are here. I'd like to introduce some of our military guests. Dennis Oliveri, you come up here, please.
Hey, Dennis!
Steve, leader, come here. Lance Jordan, where's Lance?
Lance right here.
Lance Jordan, Special Forces. We have a few other people here with us as military guests this weekend, but they're on their way en route. They'll be here for the tournament on Monday and for the reception and the military appreciation reception on Sunday night, which starts at 6 o'clock in the Tidewater Grill. I encourage everybody to attend. We have two terrific keynote speakers. If you've seen Major Ed Polito before, he will be one of the speakers. 2 days ago, Ed was in Texas playing golf with President George W. Bush and Major Dan Rooney, the founder of the Folds of Honor. He's at an event right now, big event in Naples, Florida. He'll fly out of there tomorrow morning and be with us here about noontime tomorrow. And we also have Sarah White, who is the daughter of an F-15 fighter pilot who was lost, who's going to speak. And we've never had the speaker who speaks to us from the perspective of the sibling, the child of the wounded warrior. So we're looking forward to Sarah. She's a wonderful speaker. She just graduated Auburn University. Okay, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Brad. Have Brad come up here.
Okay, Brad, go buddy!
Come on, Brad. Brad doesn't need the mic.
I'm loud enough. I want to thank everybody for having me here, and Mr. Bill here, and our section executive director, Ron Schmidt's here as well, so that was a nice surprise to have him come up. Lance came down with me. We're doing a big pro-am at Fort Bragg next weekend, and he's actually playing golf on the E-Tour now, and so we're working on his game a little bit, and he agreed to come down and hang out, so it's nice for him to join us. A really nice turnout. That was more than I actually expected, so that's what we see. Hope y'all have a good weekend. And I'm going to hit a few shots and talk about a few things I do. I'm very fortunate to be able to work with wounded warriors as they come back from service and who have been blown up. A lot of them have had TBI, which if you don't, are not aware of that, is brain injuries, and they have balance issues, and there's more of those than you would really know. I was a little surprised when I went for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago. I was expecting to see guys with no legs and arms and wheelchairs, and we did have a couple that were in solo carts, but most of them, there were probably 6 out of the 15 actually had just brain disorders where they couldn't focus. Balance was an issue, so golf was a great way for them to use this sport, which is the greatest of all time. Those of you who play it know why. To recover and get back into active life and being a part of society and having friends and something to activate their times. So if I could get y'all to move over this way, because I don't want to hit anybody. My backside, all of them, my backside might be my prettiest side, my front side might be the one to look at. I'm just going to hit a few shots here, just normal. When I go do these clinics with soldiers, it's kind of embarrassing for me when they ask me what I did to get and lose my arm. I was just an idiot standing on the back of an auger, drilling a hole at my practice facility that I built, and my shirt got caught and I snapped it off that way. So I come up with elaborate stories, especially for kids in schools, between alligators and sharks and all that good stuff. Now, obviously by the end of the day I tell them the truth, but it's a whole lot more exciting because when I tell them what really happened, all I get is a ooh. And then when I tell them the story, they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, well, unfortunately, the ooh story is the actual one. So I'm going to hit a few, and like I say, I don't hit them very far. I don't hit them all that consistently great. But the thing that I like to do with what I'm going to go through today is we'll learn some practical information on some things that can help you with your game, as well as some of the things that I do to challenge some of the soldiers that come back. I'll try to hit a few shots the way they may have to adapt for it. And try to, like I say, just get their juices flowing. And if you know anything about a soldier, they're extremely competitive. And so when you got somebody that can do something, they will do whatever they can to hang in there, if not do better. In fact, I had a couple of Marines last week at Lejeune. We were sitting down eating lunch, and they started talking about their competitive nature. I won't use the language they used, but they said, you know, we get in a fight over a game of tiddlywinks. That's just the way they roll. So one thing that you can notice when I'm making these swings is I'm not really trying to hit it hard. Uh-oh. But one thing that you would like to take away, if you can, is that golf swings are all about balance. Like in anything else you do in life, all about a balance. And if you can hold your finish position at the end of your swing rather than fall away or fall forward, most people fall backwards. If you can just get to where you can make swings and hold your finish position, you're taking care of a lot of problems in your swing. So you'll notice when you watch tour players, or any good player for that matter, you'll see a lot of good balance when you watch them play golf. It's a great thing to emulate. Also, effort level. Effort level is something that people try to do, is that, you know, try to hit the ball too hard. And when you do that, that throws your balance off. So I always suggest, first of all, slow down enough to be able to hold your balance in your finish. And count to three, especially kids. I work on that a lot with them. But let's see here. We're going to start hitting a few shots. If I can bring some balls. I got some people in danger up there. So I'm going to move up a little. But I'm going to come back here in a second. I do talk loud enough. I hope that everybody can hear. We got a guy who doesn't have a right hand or right arm, doesn't have the luxury of this. I've got one guy, not everybody can do this, by the way. I do have a guy that's at Camp Lejeune who doesn't have an arm at all. So we have to work with him swinging just one arm. He lost his right arm. So one thing he'll tend to do, once again, is to try to hit it too hard. Last year, someone stole my car. When they did, they stole my arm. And I didn't have an arm for 9 months, or golf club. But Mr. Schmidt called me and said, we're going to play golf at the Ocean Course after a meeting. I said, man, I don't have my arm. That ain't enough excuse for me. So, just for what it's worth, the Ocean Course is not the golf course you try to play one-handed first. It was a lot of golf. Thank goodness for Strixon, I believe it was, that had sponsored it that day. And I must have gone through 24 golf balls. But anyway, it was a wonderful time to get out. But anyway, if we don't have it, moving a golf ball for anyone. By the way, I did say I do not do this for a living, so I will miss. There will be some that are missed, I guarantee. There will be some good ones, but some rough ones too. But anyway, one arm swings. A guy who, you know, comes back, he can enjoy playing this. I work with Special Olympics also, and if you've ever worked with them, all they got to do is this, and they're tickled to death. That's a lot of fun if you've never worked with Special Olympics. But I'll take a bucket and put it out, let them hit that, and make some noise, and when they hit the noise, man, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, making nice balanced swings again, and I'm really not hitting very well with this one arm today. This is what I dealt with at Kiowa, by the way. But anyway, you got that going for you. I'm going to actually put my arm back on. I might be able to hit a little bit further. So we got guys that have to play with one leg. We don't have those. Some have, you know, prosthetics. But if you didn't, working on best day, you get awful tired hitting one leg and bouncing around. One I'm going to get up in a minute. I'm going to take a break and let y'all laugh at that.
You look like us.
I told you I'll make you feel human, Brad. Actually, to be honest with you, my excuse is my arm is slipping. And I do not use that one quite regularly. up, go back this way. I think that worked a little better. But anyway, when you're working with them, it's all about balance. So then I had a guy tell me today that he had a friend that he was a professional, actually, that was playing, and just talked to him a gentleman a minute ago. And he did shows, and he would say, well, why would I want to keep my head down? Because there's so many good looking women in the audience. So he hits a few shots looking up, and I told him, I said, actually that's something I do sometimes. So I'll see if I can do a little better with this than I did with that. But here's my man there. What's your name? Did it get in the air? No. Did it on the ground? It didn't dribble, did it? I think I might have hurt somebody in the house across the street. Did that one get in the air? Yeah. All right, let's try that one more time. Is it at least going straight? Once again, this is not something we do on a daily basis. One more try, talk to Lance, maybe that's better. And I just stopped picking that.
If you scream at me, it'll probably work better.
Yeah. All right, one more.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. By the way, has anybody ever seen Caddyshack? Oh, yeah. One of my favorite lines in that is at the end when Ronnie Dangerfield gets hit by the ball. It's like, my arm. I think I got that one. He's funny. Y'all can see it. That's probably not like how long the heck I was an Indian before, in my first life. Danny Noonan. Everybody loves Danny Noonan. The thing that made this scene so great in that show to me was when he's setting up, you know, who's it? Chevy Chase hits the shot with his blindfold on. He ties it on pretty quick, but what makes that scene so great to me is when Noonan's got it down, and he's doing this now. And then he finally sets up, makes his swing. He makes that one miss, and he said, "Where'd it go?" He says, "Right in the lumber yard." They were just talking about where he was going to end up working for the rest of his life. Anyway, we got that one off in one shot. I'm going to let this air one more time. When we're talking about, like I said, a lot of golf swings, I don't get into too much of that when I'm out with a lot of people, because the last thing I'm going to do is be that guy that gives you something to work on that doesn't match the rest of what you do. And you're cussing me for the next month because I gave you an idea to do something. So what I like to try to introduce you to is just concepts that are simple thinking and something anyone can actually improve with. I found out a long time ago, water is the reason why speakers have. But when you hit your short game around the green, most people, the first thing they do is grab for the most lofted golf club, which is the hardest golf club in the bag to hit consistently solid. If we have a club with a tremendous amount of loft, hitting that perfectly solid, you can see the center of the club face is quite a ways away from the golf ball itself. This is a 7-iron, that's a whole lot closer. I'm going to be a lot more apt to hit this consistently solid than I am this. It's always fun to see it go up in the air, but it takes more golf swing and it takes more effort, so there's a larger room for error when you try to hit these lofts. So there are times when you need them, absolutely. But if you don't have to use the loft, try not to use the loft. The first thing I suggest you do is, if you get up around the green, putt it, putt it. It's the easiest thing to do. You're going to hit it solid. You can't putt it We want to chip it in the air or get it in the air to the first third of the green and use the golf club that'll make it roll the rest of the way. It might be an 8 iron, it might be a 9 iron, it might be a pitching wedge, it could be a 7 iron. But try to use the least lofty club possible because you're going to have an opportunity to hit more solid. So before I lost my hand, I used to get 6 balls in the air at one time. I don't know if I can do that now, and I usually try to do this early because it's like an exercise. And it's not a good thing to practice on the range because it gets expensive if you have to pay for your ball. Because they go through pretty quick. But I'm going to see if y'all can see. I might be able to get 3 or 4 of them in the air. But we're going to try. Oh, wow, look at how. I used to break my arm doing that one, so I don't like to hit with 7 hands. Who's here tried to buy a golf game with new golf clubs?
You can't be me.
It's got to be your question. My analogy, I got a book coming out in November. It's called Puzzle Duck Golf. You got to be very confident in what you do to name yourself Puzzle Duck. And one of my favorite analogies is that you can give me the most advanced set of brain surgery tools on this earth. And you don't want me doing brain surgery on you because I don't know what to do with it. Same thing goes with golf. You can have something that's all. You may imagine how they played with these back in the day. They actually scored pretty amazingly well. But if you can move the club properly, you can even play. I think this is circa 1920, and it'll rattle your teeth if you don't hit it solid with these golf balls. But I might be able to get 1 or 2 to move. And it gets that, it actually goes. It's not with that ball. Once again, the thing we're looking at is balance. So it actually, it's kind of fun to think about that, but if you know how to make a golf swing and balance and apply the club face to the ball, which is what your PGA professional is for, you can actually play with anything, basically. All right, yesterday I had a kid at 12 Oaks. I teach out of 12 Oaks in Raleigh. And I've never done this before until literally yesterday, so it's not a big deal. I just hope I don't break my leg. But I was hitting balls on the top of his chair here. He said to his dad, he said, "Dad, why did you hit balls off the chair?" So he asked me, I told him I was just trying to do a little practice. You guys might watch that. So this is the first time I did it yesterday. I hit this morning after we hit both of them. We'll see what we can do. The trick is getting it in the right spot. This is what you use when you play the jungle. Oh. That's when you got a bad lie. Oh. This is the first time I did this yesterday too. Let's see if we can get this thing. It went. Nothing special. We got guys who don't have legs. To me, the most important part of the golf swing is your leg work, your feet, footwork. Back, right, or your back leg, the right leg for a right-handed player is to me the cornerstone of the golf swing. But there are times when you don't have guys who are paralyzed. Not only soldiers do we work with, but
anyway. Okay. Send me something.
people that have had amputations and strokes. My father had strokes, and golf's been great for him. But if you don't have your legs, you can even play from your knees. I guess y'all seen this, it's no big deal. But, by the way, my horse tried to chop a tree down with my right knee a couple months ago and it still killing me. She did not succeed. It was a big tree.
Oh.
We got 3 in a row. 3 in a row. Here's another thing we've done with some guys before. Wheelchair people that come out and they don't have access to a solo or anything of that nature. So what we do is actually take a club and bend it so that when you get in a wheelchair, your knees will be in the way. So it's kind of tough to make a swing, but I'm going to hit a few as if I was. We'll take a club. It's harder with the irons. This is pretty simple here with the driver because it's sitting up on the tee and all that good stuff. But really, it's great for them to be able to move it. Out there. A little bit on the low side. We'll try it one more time. And we're going to have an intermission here. I need to get it. I'm going to make it. To make contact is wonderful. We'll take them and bend the shaft down so they actually fit and sit properly. It goes a lot better. This is kind of hard here, but I think we can do this. Oh. You can see there's not a lot of room to hit the ball here. So we'll see. We might get one or two. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad for an old one-hand guy. Okay. I think I have to aim to the right a little bit. Anybody here do a routine, a pre-shot routine? You know what a pre-shot routine is?
The only time you hit it right.
Pre-shot routines are the most overlooked and most important part of a golf shot to me. And that when you're out playing around a golf, you know, we're out there for, unfortunately, 4 to 5 hours. Ideally, it's a 3 to 4 hour round, but when you're out there that long, that's a long time to try to focus and think about what you're doing. So a routine is something that helps you go in and out of focus. You go in for about a 20-second period of time, and then once that's over, then you can enjoy your surroundings, your friends, people you're with, why you play golf in the first place, which is the scenery, the nature, the whole thing, everything that goes along with this unbelievable game. And so a routine, because not everybody can be like Ben Hogan, you think he was, which was trying to focus and put the blinders on, and was, and had zero personality. Instead of acknowledging that people exist. But you can go in and out, in and out. And a routine is just simply something that starts from typically behind the ball. I'm going to pretend like this is the one I'm going to use. I won't be using this side of the club, by the way. I'm not that. But we'll start about 3 paces behind the ball and choose a target. It's something that you like to use a trigger. I choose a trigger as a deep breath, but triggers can be anything from tipping your hat to pulling your shirt to something that lets you know that right now I'm in my routine and right now is business time. I use the deep breath because it helps you control your breathing, and breathing is overly looked in many situations throughout the day. I can sit at my desk and 20 minutes into looking at my bills, I'm like this and trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay them. And so I got to take a deep breath, let it all roll down and shake the shoulders out a little bit and relax, and it's amazing how much you become aware of what you're doing each shot. So a nice deep breath is, to me, the best trigger. That's a good, solid deep that you go in. So We're going to take a big deep breath back here and approach the ball in the line that you want it to go on. But if that's north there, here's south behind me, east is there, and west is there, let's approach the ball from the southeast quadrant and always aim the club face first. It obviously doesn't look that way. Aim the club face first, and then step in and set up to the club face instead of trying to aim out here, because you're designed as a human to look this direction. It's easy for me to stand square with you, but it's hard for me to aim myself to him with a camera perfectly this way. So if I aim the club face from looking a little bit behind and get it square, and then set myself up perpendicular to the club face, I'm gonna have a very good chance of having myself aligned properly to the hole. And alignment, as you all know, most people, I mean, that kind of creeps in, it's migrating, it doesn't just happen overnight. You know, you might start out really good one day, and in the next month or so, this is looking better and this is looking better, and then somebody says, you're aiming to the right, you say, there's no way I'm aiming to the right. Until they lay a club down and say, oh yeah, I'm 20 yards to the right. It's very difficult to make a good solid golf swing aim out of position. So a good routine is a great way to go about it. Once you make your swing, 15 to 20 seconds, 15 to 25 seconds is ample time to hit a golf shot. You don't need any more than that. Any less than that, you'll be rushing. Any more than that, you're standing over thinking about too much stuff. There's too much time for negative thoughts to creep in. So make it expeditious. Go about your business and hit the shot. It's also something that if anything creeps in and gives you a negative thought, or if something disturbs you, your buddy's over there jingling change or something of that nature, jumps in the cart, your focus goes away from your shot and gives you a place to go back and start. So routines are very, very good to have. All right, let's try to hit a few of these. This could be fun too. Let's see if we can hit a left-hand shot. I get asked a lot if I'm right-handed or left-handed. I say, I'm still right-handed, I just don't have a hand here. So, I'm still my dominant side, but you can learn to move a ball out if you had to flip it around and do it this way. I mean, that's a little uncoordinated looking, but that's just not my natural direction. There's a reason why I play right-handed and everyone else, most people do. If they're right-handed, it's because it's their strongest side, it's their most coordinated side, and it's their side with the most speed. So if I ask you, as a right-handed player, to pitch a quarter up to that line there, bet you $1,000 you wouldn't take your weak hand and do it backwards and go that way, but you turn and go this way. So there's a reason why we play that way. I like to teach this side of the game more so than this side of the game for a right-handed player, but that doesn't really matter today. Anybody got any questions so far? Not yet.
$200 for that old club you hit out there at 200 yards.
Sold.
Okay, let's see. Does anybody here want to help me hit a shot? There's a young lady or any kids out here?
Yes, there is. Jim, get you.
There she is. Okay, Joey, come on, you go. Girl. Do it. Anybody bored? Am I going over time? I don't even have a clue how long.
You're good, you're good.
I'll be done anytime you tell me.
We only got 2.5 days left.
I lost my arm. Anybody see my arm? You ever been mobile?
Said pick the wrong person.
Okay, what I'm going to get you to do is stand right there. There's your bowling line. And we're just going to roll them out there like that. Hold on, not all of them. Get up there. I ain't that fast. I'm fast, but not that fast. Now we're going to get it on the ground right in there, and let's see if we can. I got 3 strikes, by the way. Isn't that true? You can go harder than that. Yeah, go on. Just give me some. See those 2 balls out there? Roll them to those 2 balls. Uh-oh. That's strike 1. That's strike 2.
Uh-oh.
Don't you have to wait for me? Oh, God. Look out. All right, well, I'm out, but I'm going to take an extra. That was mulligan. One more try. We got one more. Thank you. Now everybody gets close right now. Okay. Here's another thing that, I had a guy in Augusta. I've been very fortunate to be able to open up the Masters Week at the first tee. We honored Billy Casper a couple of years ago. Really amazing man he is. But we had a guy down in Augusta that I got introduced to these people by, and he was, they got a fort down there. I can't remember the name of the fort. What is it? Gordon. And he was paralyzed, had no use of his right arm, and he was holding on. And so I took a club, we taped it to his arm. So he's sitting down and hitting balls like this. And you can't do a whole lot with just this one lever. But for him, it was a success. He moved it, he was hitting it 100 yards with a wood. I'm gonna do it with an iron. This was one of my first arms that's cracked, but we'll make it work. But just moving, that's a start. I'm gonna stand up and do this. But if you can move it, even that right there is a beginning for a guy who can't move, he's just holding on. And if you have some, if it's a stroke victim, I've had stroke victims that don't have use of their arm or the other one. And so just being able to get a golf ball, that's practice with. Anybody ever use that one? I can actually move it about 50 yards if I practice this a little bit and hit it. But the thing is what I'm trying to say is that we're bringing awareness to a lot of things, and this game, does anybody say, who said I picked my head up there? Worst information ever given in golf, hands down, hands down. Destroyed more athletic motions than everything else put together, I promise this one. That's fun for a guy that's stuck in the house. 2 minutes? See, I'm having too much fun, man. Okay, this will be enough. Does anybody got any questions at all? I've enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Brad.
Yes, sir. I got 1 minute.
Earlier on, you mentioned that you feel the most important part of the golf swing is the right foot.
Yes, sir. Right foot, knee, and hip.
Right. Could you just quickly elaborate for
If your right leg or your back leg floats or doesn't brace, then the rest of you is going to tend to lift. When you go up, you got to go down. And so that's where most people tend to hack down the ground, pull across, and get shrunk in over here. It's an athletic motion. If you've ever thrown a ball, you've always had a straight back foot with a flex back knee. You load and you push off of this leg to move through. I look funny doing that. But it's this brace that allows us to create coil to use the lower body first. Because if you're using this for your power, if I asked you if you got your car stuck in the mud, what would you push with? Just your shoulders and arms, or your front foot, or your back foot? Your back foot. You use your strongest leg, the brace that you coil against, to move forward. So I teach to move the golf club with this instead of that, which a lot of people do. It's just, that's really, I don't teach but 3 things, and that's load, push, and time the face of the release. And that's about it. It doesn't have to be anymore. That's a great question, though, but that's the core. That's the big deal.
How would you fix Charles Barkley's?
Great question. I was out in Raleigh about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was out for the Jimmy V. And he was a little bit in the wind. I was in a VIP area, and I wanted, in the worst way, to say, dude, give me a day. I'd just love to try that. But I don't think he would have remembered it, so I did. But the true thing is, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with him. He has up, and if you go up, Newton's law is going to tell you you're coming back down. And the only place you can get power from here is through effort from the upper body. So if you create the coil, then you can use that to move the club. All you got to do is throw a ball if you want to see what it feels like. Throw a rock. The same thing. That's a super question, but he definitely got his issue.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Brad Clayton, CPA, Master Professional.
We're going to pass the jar around. We'd like to give him a few little extra tips here.
Hey, listen, Brad
no
drove-
log notes, no home keys. Just some money, okay?
Brad drove down from Fayetteville on his own dime today, didn't ask for anything. I'd like to just send him back with a little gas money. He appreciated this clinic and you can help out.
Hey, Brad.
He,
Brad,
very much appreciated.
you done?
Yeah.
Okay.